Good morning. I am getting ready to do a demonstration for shading the 3D form on your people. And this is kind of the last installation in this How to Draw People project. And I'm going to flip my camera around so you can see the demonstration right now. We'll get started. So these are some examples that I have already done for some of the other classes. I want to start by reminding you that in 6th grade, we began learning how to draw realistically. To do that, we focused on some basic skills. The first of those was a value scale. A value scale is a shading technique that helps you to get every single value of a color that you're coloring with. When I'm coloring with pencil, it's a graphite gray. Okay. So in order to do that, you begin coloring and you push as hard as you can push. And then as you continue to move your pencil away from you or towards you, whichever is easier for you, you are releasing pressure a little tiny bit at a time until you get as light as you can possibly get. Okay. Common problem that we sometimes have is we get a dark area and then it gets light very quickly. And there's not very much of a medium transition. So to fix that, you just have to go back and slow down a little bit and get your medium. This is when we started to talk about persistence and requesting of ourselves that we give the right amount of effort to show progress. I'm not interested in perfection in our art class at middle school level. I'm interested in imperfect progress. As long as you are making progress and you are improving, then that is what we're looking for. We are still skill building at this stage. And I know sometimes we have to deal with fear of people judging us or fear of not being as good as the other people around us. And sometimes we avoid doing, trying to build these skills because it's uncomfortable. Like, it's hard. And I get that it's hard, but things are always hard when they're new. And once you have done these baby steps that I'm giving you, then they all kind of come together to allow you to be able to draw something that looks realistic. And this is kind of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade is kind of the age where a lot of people quit doing art because they think they can't do it. And so my goal with what I've built here with my middle school program is to provide you guys with the skills and the tricks and the techniques and the practice to get good enough at art that you don't feel like you can't draw. I want you to feel like, oh, I can probably figure out how to do that. Like, that's my goal as a teacher. So that's why I've provided all these little steps to help you to be able to understand how to do these things. So we learned in 6th grade also how to draw 3D forms. We learned about how artists show the illusion of 3D using space. So we learned a cube, and then we drew our diagonal lines that went back in space, because a shape has height and width, but a 3D form has depth. So an artist has to draw the depth in order to give the illusion of depth in their artwork. You can't actually give it depth because it's a two-dimensional surface. The 3D form that we're going to use with our people shading is a cylinder. Remember, we learned how to draw an ellipse. We learned that the size of your ellipse gives information about the object you're viewing. If you just have a skinny ellipse, then you're looking at the object from the side more, and it's higher in your perspective. it's closer to eye level, but a little bit below eye level because we kind of can look down on it a little bit. So like a can of soup that was sitting on the cabinet, in the cabinet. You can see a little bit of the top and you can see the label. This one might be sitting down on the ground or on a lower cabinet because you're seeing more of the top of it. Okay. If this was an open can, like a tuna can or a cat food can, you might even see the inside of it. So now we're seeing the bottom of it, right? So with cylinders, we learned two different shading techniques. We learned to shade from the front of the object as though the light were just coming, like daylight. It's ambient light. It's coming from around the object. And then we learned how to shade with a light source. When you have ambient light or the light's coming straight towards the object, the shadows are going to be darker on the outside edge, and then they're going to get lighter, and then they're going to get darker again. The reason for this is that the object is closer to you here and here, and it's further away from you here and here, okay? So as the object curves away from you, there's a shadow that gives that illusion that you have a 3D form drawn on your paper. So you have a little bit of shadow on the right side and on the left side. Okay. If your object has a direct light source, the light's shining on the object here, then your shadow is going to be darker on the side away from the light source. And it's going to get lighter as it gets closer to the light source. On the edge of your object, it's still going to be slightly, like a little tiny bit darker because it's starting to curve away from you again. Even though the light's shining on it, you're still going to have that. It's going to be significantly darker on the opposite side. Okay, so those are our review lessons from 6th grade. In 7th grade, we learned how to shade our faces to give the illusion of 3D form. And one of the things that you're going to use on this project that we used there was when we shaded the nose. If you remember correctly, we added 3D form to our noses by shading them. Our nose, the tip of our nose was a sphere, and so that was shaded on the bottom side with a light source coming up here, okay? And the nostrils were each spheres, so you had a little bit of dark to light on the nostrils. But then to do the bridge of the nose, to make it look like it's coming towards you, it's lighter on the very bridge of the nose, and then it's a little bit darker. A little bit of shading happens on the sides of the nose that gives it the illusion that it's coming out closer to you. And the darker the shadow, the more distance it's creating, okay? So that was one of our things that we learned in 7th grade that helped with this. So this year in 8th grade, we're learning how to draw the human form in proportion. And we have created people drawings as we've been working, learning how to add movement. We started with your 8 heads high and your mannequin forms. And then we added movement to them, and then we added clothes and the contour line of skin and muscle and things like that. So today I'm going to show you how to shade to give the illusion of form with your clothing. Okay, so if this person's just wearing a plain t-shirt, make it a v-neck t-shirt, okay, and his arms are coming out. He looks like he's knocking on a door or something, maybe, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to go back with my eraser and I'm going to erase the mannequin lines, and I'm going to lighten the pencil lines on the outside of my arms, because when we start adding our colored pencil, that's going to be important.